Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Deltic Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities, as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. It's part of our mission here at Capitol View to give you a sense of the various candidates that are running for offices, especially congressional candidates. We focused on the 4th Congressional District and the 2nd Congressional District. We're going to revisit the 2nd Congressional District race with the Republican Conrad Reynolds from Conway joining us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Capitol View.
Well, nice to meet you.
Very good. Well, the first question I think we want everyone to kind of ask is, Congress is a kind of a wild place. A lot of people feel Washington is dysfunctional. Right. Tell me why you're deciding to run in this race.
Well, first off, about the dysfunctional part, you're absolutely right. But why would anybody want to go to Iraq or Afghanistan? I went there too, because of duty. I think it's important that people step up to the plate and serve. I've served all my life, 29 years in the Army, and I think it's time for me to serve again.
What's kind of your assessment of D.C.?
I think D.C. is dysfunctional, and the biggest problem is that we have really truly dishonest people, hypocrites who go up there, who say one thing and they do another. And I think the people of Arkansas, I know I am, I'm tired of that. And I think we need to elect people who do what they say. And I've done that my whole life.
The 2nd Congressional District, obviously, Tim Griffin, the congressman, he's stepping aside at the end of his 3rd term.
Right.
What do you feel you bring to maybe have voters attracted to your campaign?
Well, I think it's trust. Trust is the big thing right now. Trust, leadership, and strength. Those are the three things that I bring. You can look at my history, my whole 29-year history. I've had people, soldiers, brave men and women that put their lives in my hands, and I've never let them down, not one time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to let the people of Arkansas down either. What
are some specific goals you would have if you were elected to Congress?
Well, all of us have. As a congressman, you must have good constituent services. Tim Griffin has done a great job. I hand it to him for that. I want to continue that, maybe even be better if I can. But also, I think it's important that the goal is to keep Washington's values from influencing us. We need to take Arkansas values to D.C. Mm-hmm. and try to get them to do the right thing.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Try to get them to do the right thing. For example, balanced budget. We need a balanced budget. We need it now. They continue to spend our money. And right now we're almost $18 trillion in debt. We can't just continue to kick the can down the road. And I'm afraid if we elect some people, that's going to happen. So that's why I'm in this race. And so if people really want a difference, they want to change, they can elect Conrad Reynolds. It's the right thing to do.
In 2010, you thought about the Senate race, is that correct?
Yeah, the Senate race when President Obama came into power, so to speak, and when Blanche Lincoln did what she did, I felt that somebody needed to step up to the plate. And I did then.
Obviously, John Bozeman, won the nomination and
great guy.
Is currently the junior senator from Arkansas.
Yes.
What changes this time? Because obviously you've got some, you'll have some crowded field in the primary.
Well, we have 2 other candidates in the field, myself and Clemmer and Mr. Hill. But I looked at it this way. I looked at where I could serve. Mm-hmm. When Mr. Hill got in, I knew I was going to get in. Because as far as I was concerned, he's the last guy that we need to have in Washington, D.C. I don't think that we need people, a nice guy, I'm not nothing against him personally, but you can't have people who say, on one hand, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican conservative, and yet finance Democrat campaigns. You can't have someone who says, I'm against the private option, but yet your wife is a lobbyist for the private option. You can't do that. That's what people are tired of. And that's why I'm running. The other thing, you can't have someone who says, I'm against tax hikes, as he said the other day in Conway, yet he spearheaded a $50 million tax increase on the people of Little Rock. That's wrong. That's why I'm getting the race. And people have a real choice. You can have someone who does that, or you can have someone like me.
Do you consider yourself the underdog in this race?
No.
Tell me why.
Because there are 66,000 veterans in this district, and I think they're tired of it too. We just saw what happened not long ago when they took COLA away from disabled veterans, 1%. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is a perfect example of people who go to Washington, D.C., say one thing and then do another. I will never do that. I will never take away from a veteran what they've earned, particularly a disabled veteran. That's ridiculous. That's unconscionable in my view.
But that was a bipartisan decision, right?
It doesn't matter what it was. It's wrong. It's a bipartisan mistake. And you got to have someone who will go up there.
That's been restored, though, right?
Well, yeah, but they did it in the first place. Someone should have said at that time, "What are you doing?" But no one did. That bothers me. As a 29-year veteran, a combat veteran, matter of fact, Tom Cotton and I are combat veterans. That's why he voted against it. That's why I would have voted against it.
And we know, money and polls don't necessarily make a race, but we have to bring up the fact, the fundraising for the first quarter, you trailed Ann Clemmer and trailed French Hill considerably. Sure. How do you keep your campaign going on limited resources? Well,
let me explain that first. After I announced, I had the Hall of Fame, but my country called and asked me to go to Afghanistan. So during that whole time, I was in Afghanistan trying to do the right thing for our country. So it's kind of unfair to try to, say that I can't.
So the fundraising numbers will be stronger.
The fundraising numbers will be stronger. In fact, I didn't even start my campaign until 3.5 weeks ago. Okay. So we'll wait and see. I'm very proud. I think you're going to see a huge change, probably sometime in the next week or two, and I'm very happy about that.
Well, I appreciate you coming on this morning. Very nice to see you again, sir.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me.
Absolutely. We'll see how the rest of the campaign goes. Conrad Reynolds, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back with more Capitol View coming up. I'm David Goins alongside Ruby Brock, and you are watching Capitol View on Sunday morning on KARK.